Hello. It's Jessica. So I posted about this in our Facebook group. So let's see if we get anybody pop over from over there. Yeah, unanimous. You guys wanted to learn more about teaching dance inside of a preschool, so let's talk about that. I'm excited to chat about this topic, and I might even start up a new mobile dance program. I'll talk about that a little bit as well, in case anybody is interested in doing the mobile thing. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to pop on. I hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. I'm tired. I taught in 5 different classrooms for about 30 minutes each, so be prepared. If you go this route, you need to have a lot of energy, so drink your coffee, drink whatever you need, have water. Just like self-care things, like take care of yourself, because you will be moving and jumping and dancing a lot, especially if you're in the preschools. And I'm going to show you, so here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you guys what I taught. I'll give you songs if I can remember the names. I'll give you the songs, and I'll give you some of the activities that we did. But yeah, so up until COVID, which was 4 years ago at this point, it feels like it was last year. That's just how my brain works. I'm like, wasn't that just last year, 2020, when all of that happened? No, that was 4 years ago at this point. But up until 2020, I ran a mobile program for 15 years. So this is how I started, was in the preschools and elementary schools. So I ran a mobile program for 15 years, and when COVID happened and we couldn't partner with the schools anymore, we tried the online thing. That was never my thing. I hated teaching online. So I was just kind of like, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I opened Dance to Learn during that time, so you guys get all this great information now, and I just focused on my rec center classes. So it's been, a while since I've taught in the preschools. It's been about 4 years. But every year, to market my classes at the rec center, I send a very informal, there's nothing fancy about it, but I send a really informal email to some of my local preschools. There's not that many, there's maybe 15 local preschools, and I do big caps, free dance day, and then inside I just kind of say, hey, my name's Jessica, I run the dance program through the town. I would love to come in and visit your preschool and give you guys a free dance day. And then I kind of explain how it works. So I tell them I will visit each classroom for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the age of the kids. So they don't need to pay me anything. I'm volunteering my time in exchange for advertising my dance program. So the kids get like a little flyer. I posted a picture, and I just print out like little postcard sized flyers. I don't print anything super fancy. So they get a little flyer. I also send the school an email when I'm done. So I'll explain a little bit more about our program. And I didn't have time to do it for this one, but sometimes they also get a sticker, and it just says, I danced today, and it might have like a QR code or something to take the parents to our website. So if you're like, oh, I would love to, reach out to my community and partner with some of the preschools in my area, that's kind of how I do it. QR codes are so much easier nowadays than like putting your website on things. So everything I do is a QR code in this day and age. So that's how I market to the preschools. So if you guys are interested in doing something like that, there's a couple, just things that I think it's important to sort of know before going in to the preschools, because it is different. Every preschool is going to be different. and just as far as like space-wise and even how they're structured. So a couple things that you might want to ask if you've never, I had been to the preschool that I was at today before. I've done birthday parties there. They always invite me for the free dance day. So they're just a really great preschool that I've worked with in the past. So I knew what to expect going in there. But if you've never been to one of your preschools, or if you're brand new breaking into this, write these questions down to ask them. You want to ask what kind of space they have. If they have, some preschools have this, some don't, but if they have a separate space that isn't a classroom, let's say they have like a gym space, or maybe even an open music room, a space that doesn't have the bookshelves and the chairs and the tables and all the stuff that a regular classroom has, ask if you can use that space. The school I was in today, they don't have that. So, I'm prepared. I'm going into a classroom. But if they have an open space, great. Like, if you are able to use that space for your dance classes, ask for that. And if they don't, the best option is if you can visit the kids in their classroom, because there's going to be a lot of things in the classroom that the kids are familiar with. So the first, when I know I'm going into a classroom, I always ask to host the dance part on the little alphabet mat. So almost every preschool is going to have a mat, and the kids are going to be assigned a letter, or maybe it's an animal, whatever it is. Today there was even one that had like a police station and schools and different things. But the teachers are really good at saying, okay, your spot on this mat, you're gonna sit on the letter Y, and you're gonna sit on the letter G, and you're gonna sit on the dog, and you'll sit on the bunny rabbit or whatever. So they all have their assigned spots. So I take the kids where they already know where they're going to be sitting, because their teacher is amazing and has already, done a great job of assigning them these spots in the room. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to try to reinvent where we're going to do dance class. But knowing this, right, these mats are not, or rugs I should say, they're not gigantic, so they are smaller. So anything that I plan inside of a preschool setting, I'm really just going to do non-locomotor games and things that really just keep us in that spot. And I'll kind of get into what I teach. But that's definitely something to think about, is what kind of space are you going to have? If you know you're going to be in a classroom, you have to prepare to teach for in a classroom, because there will be space restrictions. So, don't go trying to plan what you would plan at a dance studio, a full ballet class, and, plies and tendus and across the floor and all this stuff. It's not going to work in the space that you have, especially if you're teaching all of the kids. So that's the other thing to think about. If you're going in and you're doing more of a promotional thing and it's a free dance day and you're teaching every single child, I had one today. The class had, I think if I remember right, 17 boys. Tons of boy energy, and hey, I love that boy energy. 17 boys and only 7 girls. But think about that number. So when I teach my dance classes, I open my classes up for 10 kids. That's it. So I had almost triple that in one classroom. So there are a lot of kids. So now we're sitting on a little alphabet rug, and it's a big number of kids. So this is another reason why thinking about, what activities am I actually going to teach? You definitely want to plan these classes out beforehand, and you should probably plan some backup activities too, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So space, class size, and then the last thing to sort of think about is just time, because if you're doing like I did today, a free trial, and there are 5 classrooms, you obviously want to be mindful of your time. I'm not going to volunteer for a 10-hour day. I'm just not going to do it. So, think about the activities that are most important to you, that you think are going to resonate the most with the kids, and focus on those activities. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on what to think about if you decide to make contact with a local preschool or a local elementary school in your area. So I'm going to share what I taught for the different classes, and hopefully this is helpful. All of my music is on my phone, which I'm not going to stop the live to get the exact names, but I'll try to tell you the songs and the props and things like that. My goal is to, number one, teach primarily group activities. I want all of the kids dancing at the same time. I'm not planning for something like this. I'm not planning across the floor where we're going to be butterflies and we're going to chasse across the floor. Number one, there really isn't an across the floor in this type of a setting. Number two, obstacle courses, I love them, but they're not going to work in this kind of setting for, when I'm teaching 30 kids. It's just not feasible. So plan group activities. So in all of the classes, I started with parachute because it's a group activity. It's fun. The kids usually love parachute. Everybody can do it. It's not a skill-based thing. It's just literally listening to the music. 4, I had 2 toddler classrooms. The first one was all 2s, and then the second one was 2s and 3s. So for those 2 classrooms, I did the song Windy Day by Judy Cranston, I think is her name. So it's a really cute one. And we stay sitting down. So I start with everybody just sitting down. Your parachutes only have so many handles, so we talk a little bit about, sharing our handles, although the toddler classes were so much smaller than some of the preschool classes, so I think everybody had a handle. But in some of the larger classes, I tell them, you might just have to hold the parachute like this. This is fine if you don't have a handle. But if you do have a handle, you might have to share it with somebody. Like, I don't think you're going to get a handle by yourself. But Windy Day, that was not the song I wanted to play originally. So another thing to think about is music. I've been in this school before, and every single time I have problems with my music, so I was prepared for it. But the song I wanted to play was Shake and Stop, and that song would not play. I connected to their Wi-Fi. It still would not play. I only tried on Apple Music, and now I'm wondering maybe next time I play songs on Spotify. I didn't even think about it when I was there in the moment. So Windy Day was actually a backup song. So I made a list of, this is the ideal song I would like to play, but if it doesn't, let's try this one. And I think I had a list of like 4 songs for Parachute that I was prepared to use. One of them is gonna play. I don't know why some play and some don't, but have your backup plans. So we started with Parachute, and then we did 2 egg shakers and 2 scarf activities. You guys don't need to see my egg shakers, you know what they are. But egg shakers, we did I Know a Chicken, and we were still sitting down. I kind of wanted to start sitting, and then we would get to standing. So I Know a Chicken by the Lori Berkner Band for egg shakers. And then we stood up, and I told them, all of the classes, that we were going to stand just in our spot on our alphabet mat. So if you started on the letter M, you're going to dance on the letter M. If you started on the letter O, you're going to stay on the letter O. Sometimes it's numbers, sometimes it's letters, sometimes it's animals. But it's just a really good visual. So use those visuals just from like a classroom management perspective. And I said, we're going to do, this was another one. I really wanted to play Let's All Shake Our Shaker Eggs. Could not get that song to play. So instead we did the Shake Your Shaker Eggs song. And it's just shake, yeah, shake. Maybe you know that one. We shake them high, we shake them low, we shake them in a circle, we shake them on our shoulders, on our knees, on our toes. So it's a pretty easy non-locomotor. We're not moving all over the place. Because once the kids kind of start doing this, we get into, you know, where we're moving in different directions too much, and there's so many kids in a small space. That's when we start to kind of have a liability issue, where kids might, you know, bump into each other, fall down, and we have tears, we have crying, we have all this stuff. So safety should always be like number one priority. How can we move, but how can we stay safe? So we ended up doing shake, standing up in our squares. And the kids are very good because they are used to their mats for things like story times. They're very used to being on a square. One thing to know is when they're assigned their spots on these rugs, it's usually for like a story time or maybe their circle time at the start of the day. So they're gonna kind of just take over the entire rug, and I wanted them in a circle. So there was a little bit of, why don't you come sit on this letter and this letter, so we were more on the perimeter of the rug rather than having kids in the middle. So just something else to think about when you're kind of planning. Like obviously the parachute is a circle. So if we're gonna be playing parachute, we should be sitting on the outside of the mat. After egg shakers, we did scarves, and we did 2 scarf songs. We did Wiggy Wiggle Freeze Dance, which again is another one. It's very easy to just stay on your spot and do that one. And then we did Make Your Scarf Fly High. I don't know who, I always get her confused with Judy Cranston. I know it's not Judy Cranston, but the Make Your Scarf Fly High song. Make your scarf go low, make a circle, tickle your toes. I don't know if you guys know that one. I will try to find my playlist. But the Wiggy Wiggles Freeze Dance I know is by Hat Palmer. And then Make Your Scarf Fly High is the name of the song. So if you just type that into your Spotify or your Apple, it should come right up for you. But that was the scarf that we did. And then we ended with 2 active listening songs. And this is all what I teach in Mommy and Me, by the way, for 2-year-olds. So this is very age appropriate for that class. They just obviously didn't have moms or parents with them because they were in school. But we did, for active listening, we did Shake Your Hands. Gosh, who sings that one? I'm not really sure. But we did the Shake Your Hands song, and then we just did a basic freeze dance. And the freeze dance, it tells you what to do, like hop in your spot, twirl around, tippy toe. And again, we did it all just within our little square. So that was what I did for the 2 toddler classes. When I got into the preschool and kinder classes, so preschool, pre-K, and then kindergarten, I did more of a theme, and my theme was Under the Sea. So we still started with parachute, but what we did for parachute was I played Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid, and we made little waves, we made big waves, we made waves up high, and we made waves down low. And then about halfway through, after they say, life is the bubbles, I told everybody, your cue today, we need to have good listening ears. When you hear them say, life is the bubbles, you're all gonna go into the middle of the mat. You're gonna stay seated. And me and your teachers, we're gonna do the waves over you. Basically, all of my parachute was done sitting down just because, again, due to space and size of the classrooms, it's kind of a liability to do stuff standing up because I don't know these kids. And usually when we're sitting down, the energy is a little bit lower than when we're standing up. When we're standing up, we tend to get a little bit crazier. So all of our parachute was sitting down, but I did recruit the teachers and I had the teachers help make waves and go up and down, and the kids loved it. Now that was kind of to wake them up as a good like warm-up activity, is that parachute. But now they have a lot of high energy, and so now I want to bring them back down after that fun parachute play. So my theme is under the sea, so I told everybody I brought my blowfish. So we put the parachute away. We all come back to our squares on the rug, and we're gonna do some blowfish breaths. So I have this cute little expandable sphere, and I said we're gonna inhale with the blowfish and exhale with the blowfish. And I did this a couple times and just really, nice and slow. And then there were a couple times where I'd do an inhale fast and exhale slower, and an inhale slow and an exhale fast, or breathing, but they loved it. So this was to kind of get them all sort of settled back down after the really exciting parachute and under the sea. That kind of woke them up. Next, we moved on to only 2 stretches. Again, the preschool and the kindergarten classes were the largest. I mean, I think all of those classes had at least 20 kids. And then that last one, like I said, it had 17 boys and 7 girls. So more than any class that I would normally teach in the dance studio. So a lot of kids. So we have to be very mindful of that when we're coming up with our stuff that we're teaching. So everything I did, if we're sitting in the mat and we're looking at each other, my legs are always towards the center of the mat. We're not doing straddles, we're not laying on our tummies, we're not taking up too much room. We're trying to keep ourselves as small and compact as possible. But the first stretch we did was catching a fish. So you can't see my toes, but it's just a point and flex. They all have shoes on, so it's not a super big deal. The point and flex part isn't the big deal. It's more of the reaching towards our toes. So we make our fish, they come in, we catch the fish with our toes, we feed our fish sticky peanut butter, and then we pet our fish, and then we let our fish go, and our fish swims away. And we did that a couple times. So a nice easy stretch, again, taking up, we're not gonna be stretching this way, just right in front of us. And then we were seashells. So for seashells, we were the pearl inside. We opened our seashell, we close our seashell. Pearl, open seashell, closed seashell. We did that a couple times, and they really liked that. I did try to do a butterfly stretch, but we were just too close, so that wasn't gonna work in the space, which is fine. It's not about, give them a little taste of things. It's more about them having fun. So after that, we stood up and we did a fan favorite. We did the goldfish song. And again, with the parameter of we are staying in our box for this one. So for Let's Go Swimming, we just made our fish and we would twirl around. We'd go down low, maybe we'd jump up and down, whatever it is we wanted to do as the fish. When we went to sleep, we slept on our spot, took a shower. You guys know this song. Everybody knows the goldfish song. On our spot, when we ride our bike, we sit down and we just kick our feet down the hill. So that was fun. They all know that one, so that's a safe one. They know what happens next. So that's an easy, bet if you're going into a preschool, is to pick those fun, high energy action songs that require good listening skills. Try to avoid, if I were to stand there and say, and now we're going to plie and we're going to be flowers, it's probably not going to work. I mean, it might work for maybe some of them, but you're going to want to keep it super high energy. So don't worry too much about, you're not teaching a ballet class, you're not teaching a hip hop class, it's just a dance class. So just focus on moving and keeping that energy up because otherwise you're going to lose your class. So that's why I like these high energy action songs like the Goldfish song, for just kind of a group activity that we can all do. After the Goldfish song, I pulled out my movement cards from Under the Sea, and these are fun. You guys can make these on Canva. We have so many free movement cards. If you go through my Instagram, if it's your first time here, just go through my Instagram posts. Like once a month I share free movement cards, so if you're like, I need some of those, I have them. You can get them. But if you don't want to use mine, you can always use your own, and just put an easy picture that that one's upside down, that they would recognize, and then just give them a little movement prompt. So the kids would, this was the one activity that I said we do not have to stay in our own square for this. So this one we can move around our rug. Okay, but I had a couple rules. They had to stay on their feet unless I specifically said they could crawl. Like I know I have a turtle in here, but it was one or the other. Either we're all dancing on our feet or we're all, on the floor, because if it's a mix of both, somebody's not going to see someone on the floor and they're going to fall. There's just too many kids, so just think about what you can do to keep everyone safe. But these are some of the examples, and we just did a little free movement at the end, where I would hold up a picture and then they would figure out, oh, how do you bob up and down like a boat? Maybe they jump, maybe they tiptoe, maybe they plie releve if they know that stuff. Waves, how can we be waves? There's the turtles. We got to crawl like turtles. I put lobster on here, but apparently all the kids said that was a crab. I guess that does look more like a crab. Wiggle like a jellyfish. So we just did sort of a free dance at the end. But giving them a card sometimes with a little movement prompt is really fun. And it's not a typical like freeze dance that they would normally just play in school anyway, because that they're preschool, they're taking breaks, movement breaks throughout the day, and freeze dance is going to be on their list. So this sort of takes it from a freeze dance they would normally do to a freeze dance that they would do in a dance class. So just something to think about. And between each activity, we would ground ourselves, we would find our squares, we would do, a quick breathing exercise to get all the kids sort of refocused back on the dance class. So that is what I planned for visiting the preschool. A couple things. Let me talk about classroom management too, and just kind of how you can manage these bigger groups. Whispering. There were a couple groups where they knew there was a visitor coming and they saw all of my toys in my bag and they were really excited and they kept wanting to talk to me. So I'll sit down and I will just start whispering. And it is amazing. When you start whispering, everybody's like, oh, what's happening? And then I would say, who could hear what I just said? And can you say it again? So I'd whisper my directions again. I'd say, hi, I'm Miss Jessica. And I would say, did anybody hear my name? Until I kind of got everybody focused. Because sometimes when we're like trying to talk over all of the noise, number one, they're not going to hear you anyway. It's just going to sound like more noise. Number two, you're not going to have a voice by the end of your dance trial or whatever it is that you're doing, or class. So bring it down and whisper, and it's amazing how much they really start to listen. So implement whispering, and you can do this I whisper all the time in my dance classes where they're really chatty. It gets them to pay attention, so try that. Another thing, if you're lucky enough to be teaching in a space where you can sort of move around a lot more. When I used to teach, when I was running my mobile dance program, I would teach free trials during the kids' gym classes. And I would have PE classes where it would be first, second, and third grade all in one. So now we're talking, if each class has 20 kids, I had like 60 kids at one time, and just me and the gym teacher. And of course, I don't know any of these kids. So if I was teaching a more regular dance class, I would come up with a magic word for any time we transitioned. And I love this for going into the school, and if you have a bigger group of kids and you know you're going to be moving around a lot, I will say, okay, we're all going to sit down, but here's what we're going to do. My magic word today is penguin. I don't know, make up any word. It doesn't matter what it is. My magic word today is penguin. When you hear me say penguin, you're going to stand up, you're going to walk, because walking shows me that you're in control of your body, and it shows you that you're in control of your body. And you are going to walk, and we are going to make, a line behind my cones, or whatever it is that I've had the PE teacher set up. There are 4 cones over there. You're going to walk, you're going to find a cone, and we're going to make 4 lines behind the cones, and we're going to wait for my next direction. But you can only move your feet when I say penguin, or whatever my magic word is. And then I start listing off regular things. Was my magic word pencil? Was my magic word piñata? Was my magic word pizza? Whatever. And so they're listening for that magic word, and then I say penguin. And if I see anybody start running, I say, uh-oh, you need to come back. Show me that you walk. Walking shows me that you are in control of your body. And then we line up and we'd get ready for our next thing. But use some things like magic words if you are in a space where you do have liberty to move around a lot more. I like that one. And then I think my favorite just classroom management is finding some type of grounding. So making sure, after the crazy parachute, let's relax. Let's do some breathing. So come back to something like this, because it is a lot of kids. This is for you too. This is your chance to kind of relax a little bit after the super fun parachute stuff that you're doing. And then using your visuals. It's very rare that I have ever walked into a preschool and they didn't have a rug for circle time. But I like using the rugs because it's a visual. It's usually a clean space. It's the most open space you're going to get in some of these preschool classrooms is their circle rugs. So use that. Use the letters and the numbers and the visuals, because this way I walk in there, I did not know anybody's names, right? I'm walking in, I have no idea. I can just look and say, oh, boy in the red shirt, can you please go sit on the letter L? So, when you're trying to teach a whole bunch of kids and you have no idea who they are, it's a visual for you. It's also a visual for them. And then if somebody kind of forgets where they're supposed to be, you can just say, can you go back to your, can you go stand on the L, on the letter L, and that'll be your spot today for dancing. But I like using those visuals that they usually most of the time have set up within the preschool classroom. But that's what I have for you guys today. I hope that was fun. I did have a meeting with a preschool after I did my free dance day. I did have a meeting with another preschool who want me to come in and teach like a regular dance class, which I have not done since, at least not in the preschools. I've taught my regular studio classes, but I've not done an in-school dance class since 2020. So it's been a couple years, but I keep thinking about it because it's such a fun and interesting way to spread dance around and get it to more kids. So it is really fun, and so I do think I'm going to do it at this preschool, and they're kind of one of the lucky ones. They have a very cute open space. It's not very big. They said they could fit maybe 10 kids, which is what I usually open up my classes for anyway. They can fit 10 kids in the gym, but it's a nice open space. So I'm not having to, you know, deal with all the bookshelves and the toys and all the stuff that's in there and is usually distracting to them. So I like that idea, and I might just do it on, you know, before I go and have to teach one of my regular classes anyway. I'll probably fill it in for an afternoon. But yeah, so that's sort of something fun that came out of my free dance day advertising. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this gives you some ideas. I think I mentioned all of the songs. The one song I didn't mention for my Under the Sea cards, I played Living Under the Sea, and I want to say that's a kaboomer. It's either a kaboomer or a learning station song. But it's a cute one. I mean, for this, you could play any Under the Sea themed songs, since we kind of have all those different movement cards in there. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for joining me. Quite a few of you guys joined in, so thank you for that. If you are new to our Instagram page, go ahead and give us a follow. Go explore, get some freebies. We have the movement cards, some movement cards for free, but we have so many freebies that we give out because usually every Monday we do a freebie. We did not do a freebie yesterday because we announced our Back to Dance promotion instead, so we didn't do one yesterday. But if you go through my my page here on Instagram, we have a whole bunch of freebies for you guys, so use those resources. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me live. And yeah, maybe I should talk about, if you guys like this, let me know. Give this video a like, or let me know in the comments if you have any questions about preschool, teaching in a preschool or in a school setting. Let me know, because it was such a big part of my life for 15 years, and I don't know, maybe this is a little foot in the door to get back into that side of teaching dance, because it is fun. It's different, definitely different from teaching a regular dance studio class. And yeah, hopefully that's helpful if it's something that you have been thinking about doing, for whether it be for advertising your studio, or whether it be for you want to start a mobile program in your community. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. Bye.